So also to conclude, something entirely different from what we heard in the first few talks, drones, helicopters, aircraft, parachutists, gliders, how do we make them all share the same airspace? So drone can monitor and repair any ground infrastructure at a fraction of the cost. Drone can transport medicine or vaccine in a fraction of the time. Drone can transport people and change our paradigm of mobility. So drones are shaping the airspace of the future. But, of course, there is a catch. None of those applications are possible on a large scale, especially not commercially. Why? Especially because it's counterintuitive. We see forecasts with tens of millions of drones in the next few years. Even Airbus said there will be nearly 20,000 flights of drone per hour just above Paris. So how come we don't have all those applications? Well, actually, the answer is easy. It's just the concern over the risk of collision between a drone and the rest of the air traffic. The good thing is that EU regulation are coming, and INVOLI is there to answer these challenges, to answer this critical issue of drones being blind to the rest of the air traffic and thus a danger to aircraft and helicopters. Have you heard about the expression to fly under the radar? Well, this is the reason why. So all those black areas you see are blind spots for air traffic. So this is where also the drones are flying, and this is the reason why they have no information whatsoever to understand if there is something flying around, and so they can't anticipate any potential collision. So in a nutshell, what INVOLI is doing is to shine some light onto those blind spots. The goal is to give eyes to the drone and to help safely integrate them into the air traffic. And this separation by altitude will tend to disappear very soon with the drone taxi. Those will fly extremely high, because if you know a little bit about aviation and manned air traffic, you want to be as high as possible, because if there is something happening, you want to have the time to avoid the crash. So all the more reason for a complete air traffic awareness from ground to the sky. So really what we do is provide the missing air traffic information and to provide this to the drone, along with other relevant information for the drone flight. So in a nutshell, INVOLI is a guardrail of the sky and of the drone. In the same way that you would probably not let millions of cars roam in the street without traffic light, stops, roundabouts, we want to have a solution that will be the backbone, the infrastructure onto which we can help the safety of the sky. To help you understand a little bit more, so this air traffic information, great, but to whom? First, we send this information to the pilot. At the moment, we need to send it to the pilot himself, because by law, he's the only one that can be responsible for a drone flight. So the drone pilot has this information for increased flight awareness and for safer missions. But of course, the goal is to send this information to the drone itself, so it can be empowered to become entirely autonomous. This is where the real challenge lies. So now I said, okay, let's provide air traffic information to drone. That sounds a little bit easy, so let's see a little bit more how to do that. So first thing first, we do not add anything onto the drone itself. Any gram onto the drone will decrease its autonomy, will completely change the battery life. And at the moment, this is a differentiator between most of the different drone makers. So if we don't add anything onto the drone, the only other solution is to decentralize on the ground. So we have a network of our in-house developed sensors. We call them our microcontrol towers. and we installed them onto existing infrastructure, such as telecom companies, for instance, telecom antennas. With this network, very dense network on the ground, we are able to have a complete view of the air traffic in real time over a very large area, with the goal to use this information to react against a potential collision. So if I want to go into a little bit more detail, if we come back onto the first step, the detection. So we have this hardware part for air traffic data collection. This is a very nice picture from, I think, somewhere in Ticino. And this can be installed onto different kind of infrastructure. Here we have example of broadcast antenna, 4G antenna, rooftop, etc. This is a small video to show you the example of an installation that has been done on a Swisscom antenna. So this system has been designed from the start to answer the needs of the aviation world, but also of the telecom world. So here you see the technician installing it very, very easily. Second step, visualization. Well, actually, this is the easy part. We can see the air traffic in real time, and this is a picture of Switzerland. Finally, the reaction. Here, this is an example of this information that is embedded directly inside the drone controller. A drone controller, this is the small interface that you would have if you are a drone operator. So you can plan your mission. Here, for instance, this is a drone controller for mapping an area, and you're mapping your area, and so if something is arriving, you have the information in real time so you can anticipate the potential collision. This was a video. Something that we hear from time to time is like, okay, I like the concept, nice, maybe we'll need that in 10 years. So of course the answer to that is no, we need that now. Again, like we said before, if we have tens of millions of drones coming, we don't want to wait for these 10 millions of drones to have the necessary infrastructure so that they can safely share the airspace. And here I will give you a few examples that already now, and especially in Switzerland, are extremely relevant for the drones. First, drone delivery between two hospitals. This is something that has been done by actually a few companies, but Switzerland is extremely well advanced in this regard, delivering, for instance, blood samples between two hospitals. So of course the issue is that you have helicopters that bring wounded people absolutely randomly. So your drone needs to escape those helicopters, but at the moment, the only solution is to have a pilot, so someone looking in the sky and checking if there is a helicopter. So you can imagine that it's only a few seconds of anticipation, which is absolutely not scalable at all. So the answer to that, in INVOLI, we install our system around the area that is necessary, and then suddenly you can have a vision that is much, much larger, and you can see a helicopter that would come at 400 kilometers per hour. Another example, search and rescue. Let's say you have someone in the mountain in Switzerland that is taken under an avalanche. Well, you have your drone because it's so much safer and easier to find someone than just having people on the ground. So you have your drone. The good thing about having a system like ours would be that you could receive a warning in real time if there is a danger. And you can see on the map, okay, I'm here, and there is a helicopter that is coming in my direction. So the good thing is that now, finally, you can avoid, go on the ground, go on the left, right, whatever you want, and finally be able to complete your mission, but this time in all safety. And you can see here on the right, we can see the wounded people that have been found. So really to conclude that we have this information that is a kind of unique air traffic information that is unavailable otherwise. So the good thing is that many different industries, authorities are interested in this kind of new information. And we sell this as a service. What does it mean as a service? Let me give you a parallel. Until a few years ago, if you wanted to have some music, well, you would go in a store, you would buy a CD. The equivalent of as a service that came is Spotify. Now, you don't have to buy the CD, you don't have to go in a store, you don't have to pay for all the hardware and the personnel and the infrastructure. You just go and enjoy the music you want. If you're a drone operator and you want to have a mission in an area that might be a little bit dangerous, well, until now, the only solution would be for you to buy a radar. So this is where it makes sense that we come and we provide the information as a service. Something that is interesting to mention at this point is that most of the clients I mentioned here are on the commercial side. We don't expect that exactly now, maybe a little bit more in the future, that the hobbyist drone will buy this service, because more or less they probably won't buy anything more. So I'm more or less talking about the commercial side of the drone world. So now a little bit more information about, okay, this is the concept, but what are the concrete things that happen? It's a nice concept, but let me now showcase a little bit what we achieved. Switzerland, already 10,000 square kilometers of the country that has been entirely covered in partnership with Swisscom and Swiss Prime Site, mainly. Swiss Prime Site is a real estate company. And we will cover the rest of the country at the latest by the beginning of next year. So full country coverage. This has enabled a lot of drone missions that would have been either extremely complicated, extremely lengthy in terms of authorization, otherwise, or extremely dangerous otherwise. And this is an example of a flight that has been achieved by ETH, an autonomous solar-powered drone that has flown 70 kilometers above the lake of Neuchâtel. This is what we call BVLOS mission, beyond visual line of sight, and this is something extremely challenging. Another example, this time it's not a fixed network, it's what we call a mobile network. So we bring the same infrastructure, but we come back with it. In this case, in 2017, the World Bank came to us saying, we have this issue. We need to map the international airport of Tanzania. Of course, international airport, so there are a lot of flights coming in and out all the time. And it's absolutely not safe to just have someone checking the sky visually. So they called us. We came with our small prototype that you see in the middle. At the time, it looked absolutely ridiculous, but still. And the good thing is that we were absolutely able to detect all the aircraft in real time, sometimes even before the control tower, so that finally the mission could be a success. Another example, still in Tanzania, but in a different region, the year after. This is the Lake Victoria Challenge. The goal was to showcase drone delivery trials. So a lot of different drone delivery companies came trying to show that they were the best suited for drone delivery in Tanzania and in some other African countries. But again, very close to an international airport. So we came there for a continuous tracking of both the drone and the rest of the air traffic to provide the necessary safety for all the operations. So now just a quick explanation that our vision is really to unblock something that is absolutely gigantic. So it's not only flight awareness. It's really something much bigger. Here I mentioned drone taxi, smart city, air traffic, and risk management. In more details, all the autonomous drone application that I was mentioning a little bit at the beginning Currently, they are blocked, but there is a way to unblock them. Air traffic management, we have the vision to become a hub to centralize all the data from the ground to the space. Having the ability to have a real-time risk management and a historical risk management of the airspace is something that is absolutely unique. And finally, having this ability to integrate within the smart city, where drones are a centerpiece of smart city, and also centralize the stream of autonomous vehicle. It will become more and more relevant with the 5G coming. So a lot of people support our vision from different industry. Something that is interesting is that it's not only the drone world, it's not only the aviation world, it's not only the telecom world, it's also the authorities that think this is a good solution to increase the safety of the sky. So if you want to see drone that can lower the existing costs, that can push the economic development of the country and create jobs, then I would be happy to continue the discussion afterwards. Thank you very much.
Interesting. Those drones that blocked the airport of Gatwick, do you know more than I do?
It's a very interesting question. Actually, no, I don't know anything more. The only thing that transpired in the news were what everyone saw. And I think I heard more stories, but they were also completely crazy stories. We even heard that maybe there were no drone at all, it was just a gigantic cyber attack. Apart from that, I really have no idea. Gatwick is kind of a mystery of exactly what happened.
You said that the system you developed doesn't probably address private clients, and you see lots of drones in the area, people trying them out, trying to sneak into other gardens. What is your opinion about that?
So I didn't say that they will never be inside the system. I said at the moment they won't be the one paying at the moment. The good thing is that regulation is coming exactly for this reason, because there cannot be one category of drone that can escape the safety net that needs to be put in place. So it's just that at the moment, the company that see a real need in adding safety to their missions are the companies, because they could not sustain hitting a helicopter and having millions of Swiss francs in litigation and trial, etc.
It's pretty interesting to see you in that field. How did it come that you decided to be an expert in drones and aviation and develop this kind of product?
I think, like in a lot of nice stories, it's a right alignment of planets and everything at the same time. So I would say in our case, it was the alignment of the good idea, the good team, the right moment. So when all those things were aligned, the three co-founders, we really decided, all of us, to leave our job and really go forward with it, because we could see that there is this window of opportunity. It's extremely small, but it's there, and we can catch it. The good thing about the drone world, and especially this part that is a little bit the backbone of the drone as an object, is that it's entirely new. No one knows exactly yet how to solve this issue. So it means that even as a small startup, we can have a lot of things to propose to the world. Maybe we'll become a standard in the aviation, but that means we're competing with giants, with a Thales or with a Saab or gigantic companies, and all of us are adding one piece of the puzzle.
Are you also, that's an interesting thing, sometimes when startups do really new things, they are considered to be experts. Do you consult in that area also?
A little bit. I would say we try to not do it too much, because we have so little time to achieve what we need that we try not to divert too much from this vision and those milestones that we have set ourselves. So we do it a little bit, but only when this consulting is aligned with our current activities.
And how about if Switzerland or the authorities would ask you to be part in a group to define how you can use private drones? Would you help?
It's interesting because actually Swiss authorities are extremely proactive in asking feedback, in trying to do something. When we go to international conferences, we see Switzerland as a use case. Like in the world, it's crazy. Most of the time, Switzerland is slower. We wait, we try to have concession between the different parties. But for the case of drone, Switzerland is more proactive than Europe. Switzerland is more proactive than the US. Switzerland is more proactive than most of the world. And it's the only country currently to have a nationwide system that is implementing this shared airspace between drone and the rest of the air traffic. So they are actually really discussing with all the stakeholders to receive those feedbacks.
Interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.